It's not Otacon anymore.
Yeah.
But it can be anything, and you got to be ready for it. Guma simply was not. So, as expected, we're going to have the first pick red side into blue side Nongshim here. I'm sure we'll like kind of standardize these names at some point, like we're going to move them into archetypes, but this is the standard, the normal.
Maybe we can figure it out on the POG state or something like that. Really dig into it, make sure that we can get some terminology sorted out, as is the LCK way. But here we are, into the draft for game number 2. Nongshim on our blue side this time around. First pick going over to HLE. They will be taking away the Malphite one more time. Just to refresh everyone, we had Rumble, Jace, and Varus banned away, and then Ambessa, Malphite, and Yunara taken away on the other side. So see whether these bans do stay the same already. Slight difference with the order. We'll see whether that means anything.
Malphite's gone once again. Jace will follow. You mentioned it. That's what, 21 times I think it's been banned?
Yep, that's 100%.
And be the Vi to be taken away from Sponge here. I'm kind of most interested for Hanwha Life Esports what Kanavi is playing, because that just really seems to dictate the pace of how they play. He's such a different player from Peanut, but the jungle role has always been so pivotal since Peanut's been on this team for how the game is played, the early game, the pace of it, how much ganking, how much farming, you know, timings, rotations, you know, invades. Kanavi has just kind of had one mode, and it's been fun to watch, for better or for worse, and it's mostly been for better.
Yeah, until it wasn't.
We'll see what the final ban is going to be here, and Yunara may just simply be it.
We'll see whether they do take that away. Yunara and Varus were both banned away in the last game. Ambessa is another thing that was taken out as well. So 3 things going to be left up, or sorry, 2 out of the 3 going to be left up as Yone is taken away from Zeka here to start us off. So Ambessa looking like her stocks are rising here. And of course, Zeus and Kanavi could both be playing it. Wouldn't mind that as a flexible option.
Guma, in this moment, will have to make a bold call, because I think Taeyeon will be happy to play the Yunara if he shies away from it. They'll take the Rise instead. Cassiopeia, not a hard counter, but certainly something available to scout in this situation. A Rise is so incredibly powerful in terms of scaling and late game damage, so you want to be able to match that. Not a whole lot of champs that can shut Rise down in this meta, just simply because he's got great wave clear, and with his Ghost and Phase Rush, it's hard to punish him in sides.
Yeah.
As this will be one of the champs that could potentially do it in a team fight.
It's hard to run out of a Cataclysm. That's absolutely true. So it could be an option here as Sponge does lock away the J4.
Also feels like a great denial from Kanavi, who's done so well on this pick. And the Yunara, you know, not a mystery that one was likely to come in tow. Taeyeon laughs about it.
Yeah, they don't have Nico or Lulu to pair alongside it, so it will be something else alongside the Yunara this time, as Kanavi is considering something weird.
He's trolling, I think. There's no way.
Amumu's obviously it.
Now, they could just lock in Lucian Braum and play through that in the bottom lane. The Ambessa doesn't have a Lulu this time. Will be a flex pick here, but I think the expectation is that it's going into the jungle, as the Varus can be taken here for Gumayushi. So instead of going for the Lucian angle, it's going to go for outranging in the lane.
And full comfort as well for Guma at the same
100%.
All right, one last pick here for Nongshim. See whether it is going to be a rounding out of the bottom lane, save their solo lanes for after the next round of bans, or whether it'll be something else. As the Talia consideration for Scout and will be locked in. We've seen this matchup so many times. But Talia has, I don't know, she hasn't really got me going so far this season, not going to lie.
The Realm War is, we're seeing it way more often because usually the Rise clears the wave and is like, well, I can go wherever I want. And Talia's trying to follow that rotation, try to match it. And sometimes it's just so slow that you don't even opt for the Weaver's Wall and you get a consolation plate, something like that. So seeing Scout can change the narrative here. It has been one of his best picks since he joined this roster, even going as far back as the Kespa Cup.
Yep.
So it's definitely a pick he has 100% mastery of. It's just, we're not 100% sure if it's good in this this current meta. It has not been finding the same success it used to. Rakan is taken away, which I find to be kind of interesting here. Great follow-up for an Ambessa engage. The Alistar has been the pick with Yunara in the bottom lane, even into lanes that push really hard. Just gives you a little bit more robust of a front line and some strong skirmishing later.
Yeah, a lot of supports hitting the dust for now.
There's no threat of a Sylas in this game either. So that pick is going, you're not going to be able to answer it with that.
That's a good point, actually. always something to keep in the back of your mind. As Rel also taken away. A lot of engage options being banned. I think Nautilus could be another thing that they do decide to take away, but instead it's the Renekton removed.
JS doesn't want to play Ken in this game.
Yeah, I guess not.
Interesting to see that one gone. So in terms of threats here, I mean, they have the Talia, they have the Jarvan set up, and Nautilus, you mentioned, was not banned away. They banned the Renekton instead. That one ends up being pretty obvious here. And now they can save counterpick for sorting out what this Ambessa is truly going to be doing. I think the assumption still is jungle, but you don't want to make that assumption if you're Nongshim Red Force. You want to wait and see. And this will actually flip the table on that as Kanavi gets his hands on the Xinjiao. And as a pick that has been finding a little bit more success over the latter part of week 1 here of LCK Cup 2026. And the final question is, what is Delight playing?
Yeah, could it be like
Renata? Probably.
Yeah, I was
not,
thinking Renata, like, for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, it's good into this comp, and it's ranged, but Braum is going to be the opt-in instead. It's going to be a tough lane here for Taeyun and Lehens. And the final pick here will be the answer to that Ambessa top lane for Kingen.
All right, what are we doing? He looks like there's almost a grin on his face. Is it
just going to win it?
And this is a tough matchup in the Ambessa. So we'll see how he does go, but will be an absolute menace later on into the game. A lot of DPS available here for Nongshim with that one locked away. This could have been one of those comps where a tank is locked in towards the top side of the map, but obviously into an Ambessa it doesn't feel fantastic. And instead, it's a 3-threat comp and will be doing a lot of damage in the later stages. And against decently low range, I know Varus has a lot of range himself, but outside of that, everyone else is up close and personal. The Gwen will thrive.
I think Nongshim need to be incredibly confident with their setups and engages. If you go in, there is no going out. Like, if you start a fight, there is no canceling that fight because there's a Braum on the other side, there's Chains of Corruption, there's an insane front line. Now, when Zeka's Actualizer is online, they are just going to fall to pieces if they try to disengage. So you're going to have to see Nautilus working in tandem with the Jarvan. The Yunara ultimates are going to have to be on point. The follow-up is going to have to be fast for Taeyun because they need to win the fights quickly, as if those fights go longer, it's a big problem. And they also can't really, mess around in the neutral. If they play slow, that Varus poke will just continue to chip away. So they're not going to be able to passively sit around on this one. They're going to have to play through vision, fight for vision, and constantly be ready to go in as a coordinated unit. That was, for the first half of the game in Game 1, not the case, but they were able to do it there in the end.
I'm really intrigued by these drafts and how they're going to work, but Gumayusi on his own skin on the Varus as well. Very, very cool to see. Let's get onto the Rift here for game number 2. All right, Hanwha fans in full voice here today, trying to get them back into this series as we do have the first ward going down, but immediately answered here by Nongshim on the other side.
Oh, and you kill that ward, there's almost, it's almost more satisfying than getting a champion kill there.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, hook coming on through here. Is Delight already taking a bit of damage?
When you get the ward and a champion kill, or at least 2/3 of the health bar, you feel pretty good about that as well.
Yeah, Taeyun stacking the Q on a ward as well, and then able to transition that into a lot of damage onto Delight. So high value. As Nongshim starting off this lane in a pretty good position.
It's kind of unfair.
Yeah.
See, he's going to continue to stack another one. Lehens is going in.
Yeah, well, Lehens is going to find the passive stun onto Delight after not quite hitting the anchor.
Lehens does this a lot. It's something that Barrel does with Nautilus where you aim like this, and if they try to predict where you're going, then you hit the wall and then you get the root on them anyways. When you have a health advantage like this, it feels like it's kind of like he's game theoried the play where he's like, well, no matter what, I'll get something out of this. Yeah. Looks silly, but actually ends up working a lot for them.
And right now they have full control of the wave. Hook going to connect here onto Gumayusi as well as he has to flash out of the way. And once again, Lehens avoids getting stunned by that Winter's Bite concussive blows. Oh man, Nongshim really taking control here of this lane towards the bottom side.
Really aggressive plays from Lehens working out. The stack Q from the ward was the beginning of the snowball rolling. Taeyun does take a lot of damage here though on that follow-up, so needs to be careful, but this is going to be the wave crashing through. Free win here for Nongshim in this early laning phase.
Yeah, might even be able to go get a cheeky cull.
Yeah, that's what I think he's going to do. If he has enough money, he probably does.
Well, we'll have to see exactly where he is going to go there. Has opted for the cleanse, but it's a teleport on the other side, so no barriers to be watched out for here.
There it is.
And you're exactly right. Okay, so we do have the cheeky cull and straight back to lane. So not exactly the most power as far as extra stats, but going to be really banking on that mid game for when that is going to proc.
The closest thing to like a Rod of Ages for a champ like this, right? An AD carry who scales incredibly well is you get that free lane push through, and then you get the free cull, and you're like, all right, well, this is going to be more money later. And, you know, the cull gives you some additional stats, not really a lot to write home about, but it is going to be a feeling of like, okay, I've kind of gotten through some of the toughest part of my game, and I'm going to have a really fast spike later on.
And you don't really pay for it either.
Yeah, you get money out of it.
The lane is nowhere near pushed into their turret. Home Guard's going to be helping out there, so Zeka moving in towards 2 people. Not sure about this one here, sir, as he's taken down to 100 health, but Nongshim not going to push the issue. They'll just take the ghost and get themselves out.
Guma going to back here. Does have teleport, so can just go straight back to the lane. So he is going to manage to continue to have a CS advantage here.
Yep. And his tier is going to start stacking up as well, so not too bad. Also with a cheeky longsword for a few extra stats in comparison to Tane, but he's already picked up 10 stacks on his cult, and so getting closer and closer to that payout. As Kanavi here towards the top lane, Kingen could be in trouble as he is pushed very far up. Zeus now dives on in. Zeus going down relatively low, but the flash from Kanavi will get the return flash out of Kingen as well. He's in the mist, but Gwen this time is not immune, and that is first blood over to Kanavi once again.
Yeah, I guess he really thought that perhaps that would be enough there with those extra resistances, despite the lack of immunity, to get that kill back on the Kanavi, but commits his flash to try to buy the space. Gets Kanavi's flash in return. Will go down. And you saw Sponge was heading to maybe pressure the bottom lane there, but didn't really work out timing-wise and went to Krugs and then wasn't able to make a cross-map happen. Sponge has now fully cleared his bottom side and is looking to potentially make an impact on that long wraparound here, but they have a control ward defensively here, and I think Guma and Delight should be fine with this wave pushing. Now, if Scout had level 6, this could be a little bit scary. He's still going to come over.
Yeah. He's going to be the one that walks over a ward, but Sponge is just blocking off the retreat here. And remember, Gumayusi does not have his flash available. There's the flag and drag, and the flick back onto 2. Scout locks down the kill, and man, I mean, asking the question of what Nongshim had for breakfast is pretty obvious. It's probably ramen, but oh my goodness, it must have been good.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of products, and a lot of the staff is eating it here every day.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, it smells really nice, so I'm a little bit jealous. Zeka is going to Realm Warp.
All right, let's see whether HLE can make the play work themselves, as they will be able to grab a plate, and Kingen is just dead. No flash, no chance. Zeka able to tank up the turret quite comfortably there. So the answering kill does come on through. Yeah,
and it's the, you know, the Taliyah that makes the kill happen first this time around. Wasn't stopped on that rotation, but no answer for that Realm Warp, and Zeus did not have to commit his ultimate there on the top side, and they will also get the Dragon in answer on the bottom side, so winning on both sides here. So Hanwha Life Esports taking a significant gold lead off of that turnaround. Really like how that setup happened on the bottom side, but cannot ignore what happens right afterwards. Very significant here for Hanwha Life.
And especially when Kingen's now at 0-2, we know how important it is to get that quest loaded in towards the top side of the map, because otherwise you just find yourself behind in experience for the entirety of the game. And the more Zeus gets ahead, the more he can zone Kingen away, and it can become quite difficult. Taehyun here, though, going to comfortably clear out this minion wave, and he still has a decent advantage up against Gumayusi with a 10 CS lead.
And Kingen still doesn't have his ultimate. I don't think there's a window here for Zeus, really. He's like 1 minion away. But could have been scary. Kanavi was relatively nearby.
Yeah, it's a full level in the lead here for Zeus, as Kingen does hit level 6 now, so that needlework up and available.
Just don't think he can really use it here, and it's going to be Zeus continuing his lead, continuing his advantages. This is the first time we've seen Taliyah pick up an early kill, though, here in LCK Cup. See what Scout can do with the lead he picked up there, and gave an advantage to Taehyun as well, who will have that call here, 54 minions. So it's a really even game right now, across the board.
Level 6 here for Gumayusi, so Chains of Corruption now online. And HLE, this composition does skirmish very well in the early stages, but I think the Nongshim are going to be kind of comfortable at that stage as well. It's only really the Yunara that does want a few extra items. I think that the Varus will do a lot of work with 1 to 2 items. and not so much the Yunara. So Nongshim with a little bit of late game insurance for that reason, but also may not be able to tussle quite as effectively at the beginning of this game. But that color's about to cash in.
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Lehens. Activating Hex Flash. You know what? You
well,
know,
I'm looking at the player cam.
Barrel left, but I feel like his spirit remained.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like
in the form of Lehens.
Those wall dredge lines I was talking about earlier, that's a barrel thing.
There you go.
Doing. And all right, his player cam reaction, well, he had a little sigh, but looked like he didn't really care about it too much.
Nah, you got to activate Hex Flash. That's it. Must be the reason.
Why'd he pick Hex Flash if you're not going to use it?
Exactly right. Well, Kanavi looking for a bit of an angle here towards Scout. The ghosts have been popped on both sides, but Sponge moves his way over. That is going to mean that Nongshim are going to be A-OK. Kanavi not quite able to find an angle here, as Delight moving towards the mid lane does have that Glacial Fissure up and available.
Double control word. Well. Got to work on that communication as Kanavi.
Lehens finds himself behind enemy lines, but also in a very uncomfortable position. It's a great Cataclysm, though, as there's the ulti in from Zeus to spell the end of that Nautilus. Kanavi will go down, but it's already a one fight here for HLE as Kingin trying to do what he can, but it's a double for Zeka. And it's now 2-5, HLE securing a big lead.
This was such an opportunistic play from Lehens. It looked like initially might have worked because Scout's there with the follow-up, and that's the kind of decisive call I was talking about. You can't go in and say, never mind, we're not gonna play this one. You have to actually look for the follow-up fight. They obviously didn't have their AD carry there. Guma wasn't there either, but the shove was there. Scout's with the follow-up damage, but Lehens just takes so much on the opening salvo. As look at this, he goes in, Hex flashes, drops the ultimate onto a Xinjiao, so that's kind of part of the issue here is you can't really kill Kanavi fast enough despite the fact that Scout's so quick with the follow-up. Kingin shows up here as well, but there's just no real range damage. Scout's like, I got no cooldowns. Kingin just gets kited, and Zeka is just going to have way more damage throughput than Natalia at this type of moment, so...
Another fight breaking out. But Nongshim kind of realizing they're not exactly as well positioned in these skirmishes as HLE. One grub did go over to Nongshim, but it looks like the other two will belong to HLE after getting themselves the first Drake as well. So a Cloud already done. It's under a minute until we have this Chemtech Dragon coming up. And HLE, if they can get themselves into a position where they have that double dragon, that extra dragon control, it's something that Wadid was talking about on the space, was a bit sloppy from HLE in game number 1. Was that dragon control? Well, this game around, they could be adjusting that one.
And it's just one team fight that was really, could be what puts Nongshim back into this game, especially with this Yunara about to cash in the Cull. That's going to put further lead here for the AD carry of Nongshim Red Force. Taeun just for the moment solo here, but we'll have his friend Lehens joining in just a moment. I'm kind of looking at this game now as how much of a lead can Hanwha Life have to stabilize the game state so that the Rise can get third item actualizer, as Delight does not care about this.
No, just stands beside Gumayushi and is going to be A-OK.
And Navi's coming down.
Not really a dive available, but here's the Cataclysm as Zeus going to look to go 1v2, finds a public execution as he does put Kingin into the sky, but he's now looking to try and dash his way out, not exactly finding it here, as there's the Flag and Dragon. Down will go the Ambessa. A well-needed kill here for Kingin towards that top side of the map. Now actually has a gold lead.
Can they deny Dragon? I just don't think so, though, and this does help Kingin a little bit. Obviously getting a second kill of the game here, grabbing some plate gold. This is going to be huge for the Gwen, but it's Ocean Soul here for Hanwha Life Esports, but they bought themselves a ton of time for the scaling Rise. And so it feels like an even exchange across the board.
Yeah, I would say so.
In terms of gold, obviously better for Nongshim, as Zeus here, just not really much he can do. The Flash Cataclysm looks for the turnaround. There's no angle, unfortunately.
And keeping Kingin relevant, I think, is incredibly important in this game. If the Gwen isn't able to actually threaten kills, then she really is kind of a dead weight. And so feeling better about that one. I think understanding where they need to be putting their attention is, speaking of attention, HLE throws theirs towards the bottom side of the map as now Lehens in a lot of trouble and will just be popped like a balloon. Down goes the Big Daddy. It's a second death here for Lehens.
Even though he has Aftershock, he's just not that tanky. And that's just going to be a little bit more bottom side control here for Hanwha Life Esports. Like I said, it's not the end of the world, but just some additional gold. holding on to this lead. Zeka stacking his tier, stacking his Rod of Ages. And yes, Yunara is a late game threat, but that Rise is a real scary one, as we've seen so many times, and he has 3 kills in this game.
Yeah, it's a very, very scary blue guy.
And so I'm kind of wondering if HLE is going to be playing a little blue man group later on.
I think they certainly have the tools to do it. Zeka now eating some honey fruit. He deserves it. There's Gumiushi down here towards the bottom side. Will tank up turret shot. There's another Hex Flash being used here. See, Lahenza was activating it, man. He just really wants to be able to press that button.
He's pressed it like 6 times at least. And go back and look at this once again. He's on Vision. And he goes on to the Braum. And unfortunately, I mean, he's on the wrong side of this one. The Realm Warp comes through like...
Yeah, and teleport in from Gumiushi as well, so it did kind of look to them, I guess, like they'd found the Braum, but it's Braum. It's so hard to kill him.
TP plus Realm Warp, I mean, that's a lot of commitment to resources that, like, I guess Lahenza wasn't accounting for. But either way, kind of a bit of an overstep there.
All right, 2v2 here towards the top side of the map as Sponge keeping his presence unknown for as long as he can. King in, down to 50%, but there's Kanavi making his way forward. Great knockup as Kanavi is so close to dead. He'll be taken down first, and Zeus, not long for the world either. Zeka is going to show up, and meanwhile here towards the bottom side, it's Gumiushi being knocked up into the sky. Taeun trying to take him down, and will be able to get him here as Delight able to assist the kill there towards Lahenza, who does fall for the 3rd time, but he'll be saying worth in all chat, especially with that extra plate going over.
Plate going over to Scout, they end up getting the AD carry in the bottom trade, so it's definitely a trade up. And then here, Sponge plays this super well. Kingen kind of baiting ready. Like you said, he waits. Sponge waits for the last possible second to actually see how much value can get. Has a Cataclysm here, and there's no way to get out of the needlework as Kingen is just able to cut through them. And then Lahenza is just like, I'm going to tank this. A bit of an awkward spot here for Guma to back. It actually means that Lahenza can get the ult off before he starts tanking and then just hold the turret aggro long enough. Taeun pops his ultimate there, gets charged up, and it's a trade up. They get plate gold there, and because of the rotation of Zeka up to the top side to try to look for that play there after the kills go down for Kingen, he's not there in the mid lane, so Taeun picks up a plate. So 3 plates in his pockets, starting to get to become a larger threat himself. And Nongshim take a gold lead, a significant one here for the first time.
Man, I am very frightened about a theoretical level 20 Gwen. That just, I mean, running with scissors was dangerous enough, right? When it was level 18 at the maximum. Sponge does flag and drag his way out of there, not able to quite take down that control ward. Still early days, ladies and gentlemen. If you do want those 3 games, or you're an HLE fan, this is by no means over, especially with the 2 dragons that they've already been able to pick up and this big old Rise.
Yeah, not to mention that we saw a similar lead in the last game for Hanwha, and they ended up losing.
Yeah, maybe early game leads are actually a bane, not a boon, perhaps.
Could be. I'm going to say probably not, but...
Yeah.
Maybe strong late game wipes are actually just the real...
We have evidence from last game that perhaps it's not the greatest thing to do, you know?
The rotation over here to Herald for Hanwha is much stronger. Zeus has TP as well. And Kingen could match, but could also be interrupted.
Looks like
I think this is just there.
Fight for this. Weave as well does come on through, but
it's like Scout's telling his teammates don't contest.
Yeah, this is a very weird situation here as they do take the Rift Herald. So now not a lot more to fight for, but there is the flick back onto Delight. Down to 50% as Kanavi makes his way in, obviously. Flag and drag knocks him towards the sky. His Chains of Corruption, oh, just barely outranged by Lahenza there. And HLE will just be able to walk their way out after collecting their prize.
Kanavi is just so terrifying. He could go in at any time.
He could.
And they end up getting the win on that one. Nongshim are going to try to take this dragon in return.
That's another seismic shove connecting here as the door does a lot of work, but just not enough to keep him alive. Kill goes over to Taeun there at the same time, so that is more money into the hands of the Yunara.
So they get the dragon, they get the kill. We'll lose some plates here in mid, so Zeka's benefactor of that, but really strong turnaround for Nongshim after what happened there on the top side, and Sponge is going to get out with no problems. So that'll be their first dragon of the game. This game is suddenly really close. You know, when you look at the scaling Yunara, the Rise, the fact that this Gwen is going to be a side lane threat, it's getting stronger and stronger. But at the same time, the way these fights have been looking, and so whoever punches first seems to be getting a pretty significant lead, or the punishes of the overextensions, which would still be a punching first, but we're seeing teams set up and then kind of not be able to commit and then get punished right afterwards. That 1,200 gold lead for Taeyun is the scary part.
Yeah, I'm looking at Kingen as well, with about a 900 gold lead himself on this Gwen after being targeted, down 0-2 in the early game, and he is now one of the big threats on Nongshim. Does have the Riftmaker now completed, as well as some steel caps, so this Scissors Lady is just going to be a frightening concept to deal with here for HLE. HLE still have a lot of skirmishing power. They have Gumyushi with a lot of safety standing in the backline, and they can lock down targets in AoE pretty effectively. But Nongshim also have the ability to hold them at bay. Seismic shove, Lahen's there with targeted CC. This is not exactly an easy task for HLE to find their way back into this series / game.
I thought for sure Scout was going to force the ghost trade there. He's just on the edge of a potential shove, but does not end up committing there. Knife's Edge game, Kingen is, if he's ever left alone, going to just balloon this lead.
Oh yeah.
And when he has Nashor's Tooth later, going to be incredibly potent. Sometimes we see that built first if it's a Gwen matchup where you just kind of crush it, or if you've been given a lot of resources, you get ahead. In this game, and going Riftmaker first to deal with the Ambessa and to have some jungle assist makes a lot of sense. And then he hits that second item, and he is going to be a real threat in the side lane, more than he is now. Taeyun kind of alone here.
Yeah, there's a flash forward from Delight. Misses the ulti, though, as Taeyun's able to get himself out of there mostly. Zeka flashes on top of him, though, to take down the Yunara, but now he's in an awkward spot. Scout, now the one in trouble, as the blast going to get Zeka to safety as Kingen looks to make his way in. Needlework to start it off, and down goes the Rise as Gumyushi now having to deal with Kingen, and the Needlework from downtown collects this Varus. Now Nongshim with a man advantage, but Sponge looking a little worse for wear as Lahens makes his way forward. Kingen is 1 versus 3, but I think he likes that one as down goes the Braum, and Kanavi follows. Sponge happy to die here because that is an ace for Nongshim.
I would love to see the damage stats after that fight between Scout and Kingen, just hitting everybody that's stacked up on top of each other in this one. Initially it looks like, okay, Taeyun getting caught is a big problem, but Delight missing this ultimate actually means that Zeka has to get split off on the rest of the team, which makes him a free target. The Weaver's Wall positioning here actually so good because it means they can basically chunk Zeka down. Kingen shows up, gets the flank here, and now Kanavi is too deep chasing Lahens, can't peel for the rest of his team. Guma is sniped, and then Kanavi's like, I'm ready to fight, but they lost their carries, so they can't really do anything here. Sponge's flash is good, and then watch Scout and Kingen just say goodbye health bars. It is nasty. Everyone's all stuck on 1 pixel, and both Scout and Kingen love what that looks like.
Exactly, man. The snip value kind of insane. As Taeyun, yep, hands off keyboard. He's
like, I got caught. Thank you, guys are welcome.
I got caught. We won the cooldowns, all right? Soaked the cooldowns, and he absolutely did. To be perfectly honest, the fact that Zeka had to go that deep, that was his first death of the game, right? Yeah. He went up to 4-0-2 in that moment. Him being dead is so much of the HLE money off the table. And speaking of money, it's now a 4,000 gold lead. This is a larger lead than we've seen at all today, because in game number 1, it never really crested 3,500.
Yeah, was very much back and forth. And this is a big, significant lead after a decisive team fight win. And a bit of a messy one from Hanwha Life Esports, you know, like on one hand, it's like Taeyun forced Zeka to go that deep, but Zeka could have also just been like, all right, well that AD carry isn't going to do anything, so let's kind of refocus. Kanavi was also chasing Lahens. Like there were a lot of things that could have been played differently in that fight for Hanwha Life. But Nongshim are very happy. They're like, no, if they did it again, they'd 100% do it the same way. We win every time. Taeyun's clapping. Yeah, that was my play. you guys better thank me for that one. And now we're looking at 30 seconds till this Dragon spawns. Will be the second for Nongshim. Weaver's Well set up here for Scout again. And this is going to be a very difficult fight to enter for Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, Scout, you can see, moving towards Zeus, and does actually clip him there with the seismic shove down to 50%. Kingen moving forward. This turret is very dead, but Kingen may be dead as well. Never mind, going to be flashing to get himself out of the way. The Needlework to try and keep him healthy. Zeus should be going down as well. Finally, he's taken out. As now Taeyun is the target. Kanavi gets on top of him, but it's not quite enough. As now the Realm Warp comes in, but Taeyun is just dancing around the fight. Delight goes down. Lahens is dead as well. Zeka and Gumyushi still up and available as mid laners and AD carries both left standing.
Yeah, it's a bit of an exactly even trade between these two. Taeyun just does so so much damage. Kanavi is like, I kill this 80 carry, right? And Taeyeon's like, it's patch 26.1, actually.
I'm sorry, sir.
We do a lot of damage. And he has that Kraken Slayer slamming into the end of the enemy team. And it's going to be a call here from the Nongshim.
Yep.
About the next dragon fight.
Yep, letting him know exactly what cooldowns are up and available and all that sort of stuff. And checking flashes and things like this.
And then Zeus flashes away here, and then the turret actually does a lot of extra damage, so it survives a little bit longer, but the core issue here is that Kingen is isolated, and Sponge isn't able to get on top and peel for him. He does ultimately get in and zone the damage away from Taeyeon, who just has to deal with Kanavi only. And then Lehens here does die, but look at how much damage Taeyeon does in this interim, as Guma's just not able to close the gap. Zeka cannot do enough damage, and they're still going to reset here and get the faster take on the dragon, so the end result is the same, despite an even trade of kills there. They take the second dragon, they remain in a near 5,000 gold lead, and now IE is done for Taeyeon.
Yeah, that's the scary part. That was just a BF sword that he had in his inventory for the last fight, and now it's going to be much more scary.
And Zeka is only half of his actualizer, whereas the third item is complete here for Scout. He has Crypt Bloom, so the carries are just so much bigger here for Nongshim, which makes it really tough for example, Zeus and Kanavi to actually get on top of the backline before they're just blown up. And it's an 80 carry meta for a reason.
Yeah, and it's a 2-level advantage for Kingen as well. He's level 16. Maximum level on his needlework. And we saw the snipes from that previous team fight. They are even more deadly now. And so with a 4,500 gold lead, couple of dragons now picked up. We were commending the double dragon that HLE were able to put together in the early game. But since then, the game's kind of fallen apart. And we'll see whether Nongshim can cleanly close this one out. They probably have it pretty clear in their mind that anything can go wrong and they can just lose the game. 100%. That's precisely what they capitalized on in game one.
100% that could happen, but if they can maintain vision control, I think it becomes a lot more tough for Hanwha to engage on their fed carries at this point. And so vision game, I mean, look at the pings. Probably from Lance, he's just like, pinged please assist like 7 times there on the top side of the map. He's like, put those wards down if you got them. And maybe they're telling the Hens to put those down, but either way, they're getting vision around the other side of this Baron pit now, and it's very easy to turn off of it with this Talia that's got Weaver's Wall. They have control over mid. I mean, this vision toggle shows that like they can see almost everything except...
Yeah, Kingen possibly discovered here as Zeus and Zeka are going to try and hold him in position. Let's see whether Kingen can get this one done. Remember, he has an arm guard and Zeka is almost just straight up dead. Public execution comes on through and Kingen does go golden. Now the fight on the other side of the rift with the man advantage for Nongshim. They get the double knockups with that ulti out of Lehens as Scout will show up. They take down Sponge though, and Kanavi taking so much damage. And he will finally fall down. 2 for 1, the trade in favor of HLE.
And I just don't see any way that Hanwha Life Esports can use this, though, at this moment in time to actually get further value. I mean, they don't have their jungler. They can't take Baron, so it feels like a good trade up for them isn't necessarily enough to lead to a comeback just yet, as it takes 2 to kill Kingen, and he almost trades it back. We didn't see the end of this fight post-Zhonya's, or post-arm guard. So he does drop this down here when he goes super low, gets the flash out of Zeka, and they just slow play it from here. He's got range damage.
Yeah, Snip Snip not quite connecting, and Zeus with a little bit more range to play with as those buttons come back up again.
It's a lot of damage onto Sponge here. Like, he just pops, but Kanavi will die in return. It ends up being an even trade on the top side of the fight, which is a good thing for HLE considering they were outnumbered.
Yeah, exactly, and Gumyushi actually doing a lot of damage in that scenario.
That same turn possibility is there without a Weaver's Wall here for Nongshim on this Baron potential take. Zori saw the last game tossed away.
Yeah, and Kanavi does have flash, so he can get into that pit. It's going to need to be a turn here for Nongshim as they look for Zeus. Flick back, not going to quite connect there though. And Nongshim now regrouping one more time.
Drop the Baron aggro, they let it reset. I think is the wise call. I don't think Zeka has his actualizer just yet, but he might in this fight. It would be huge if he did.
Well, Kingen looking for a wraparound. There's the engage from Lehens. Cataclysm through from Sponge as they're looking for Gumayusi, but he gets a relative safe. Never mind, Kingen gets on top of him, diving in towards that backline and will be able to eviscerate this Varus. And Kanavi falls as well. Zeka not enough that he can do, and the Weaver's Wall is going to come through to take him out. That is going to be another threaded volley, a big old rock to the back of the noggin, and down will go the Rise. And now Nongshim should be able to take this Baron.
It looks like Nongshim is poised to take this series. There's no actualizer in Zeka's inventory. He cannot alone 1v9 this team fight essentially. As Gumayusi, he's got his shield from his Edge of Night, but it's popped instantly, and Kingen just gets on top of him. And on the bottom side of the fight, Zeka is just really struggling to close the gap here on the back line. Offers a decent amount of damage to Sponge and Lehens, but now all he can do is kind of phase rush his way out of here. He's trying to do what he can. Zoom in, let me out of here. Not going to get out. That is going to be Baron going over, and what should be now a 7,000 plus, 8,000 plus gold lead here for Nongshim in the ensuing fight. Guma thought he was safe there, but the engage from Sponge was fantastic.
I thought he was safe. Honestly, I felt like he'd done enough to get himself out, but instead, Kingen dashes, flashes, and he's right on top of the Varus. And not a lot that Gumi can do when the flash is on cooldown. And so now you got a shield bow done for Taeun as in goes Sponge, looking for that blue buff, will not collect it as the anchor just barely not finding the backside of that Xin Zhao.
I mean, the copium for Hanwha fans is like, you've got to rise, you've got a lot of wave clear. Maybe somehow you can just hang on here. It's still a 2 Drake apiece game. That 2 minutes left on the Baron, though, is going to feel so oppressive. They still have this Gwen. Oh, God. And
look at Scout's items, man. He's got a Rabadon's completed.
He got the Rabadons. Still no actualizer for Zeka. This is going to be a free dragon, but I think if you're Hanwha, you're like, yeah, I mean, you take it. As long as you're not killing my Nexus right now, that Baron timer is going to get smaller. That's the best we can hope for. As you see Zeka in the top lane farming as fast as he can to put that item together, but he'll still be a full item behind. However, you know, it's a lot more burst-oriented the way Scout plays this one out, and if the front line can stay alive and he can do that damage, maybe he could be in a miracle world. Well, the reason why they get back in, there's the actualizer finally complete way later. They would have liked it. He's so incredibly far behind his opposition here in Scout.
Man, this is such a huge deal for Group Baron as well, as Nongshim, with this upset victory, will be able to get them within touching distance of the Elder Group. And after our next series, could be that T1 will be able to even the scoreline if Nongshim are able to close this one out. So a lot on the table, and that'd be so clean to round out the week.
Yeah.
5-5. Gorgeous. But hasn't actually happened just yet. We'll just have to see whether Nongshim can cleanly close this one out.
Let's see, they got 40 seconds left. Zeus is kind of knocking on the, Kinga is knocking on the front door here.
Yeah, Kanavi goes in, looks for a bit of an angle here. 3 items completed. 4 Kingen does have his Zhonya's now complete. The Scout throwing away some rocks here where he can see some angles and to set up some of that worked ground.
Kingen, an ex-Hanwha Life player himself, post-DRX, looking at his former teammates here, I think very few would have predicted Nongshim to win this series. I think even fewer, perhaps none, would have predicted Nongshim to 2-0.
Yeah, I can't remember back to the predictions, but I'm pretty sure it was unanimous.
Oh, I think it definitely was. I don't remember any discussion about this one. Like Nongshim versus BNK, you're like, okay, that could go either way. Nongshim did not win that series, by the way, but to win this one makes a pretty big statement.
And the fact that the money is exactly where it needs to be here for Nongshim as well just makes coming back in this game so difficult for HLE. Like, the lead for Scout, like, it's a full Rabadon's ahead. That's, like, basically the money he does have.
Yeah,
we were talking about Actualizer, yeah. Zeka has that. That's in comparison to 2 items. Yes, Rylai's is cheaper than a lot of others, so it's a little bit disingenuous, but Rabadon's is that's a price.
Taeun has level 16 and Flash and Cleanse, so killing him seems pretty out of the question. Sponge can go in as deep as he wants because he also is on his 3rd item, GA. Kingen has Zhonya's, so like, you kind of just have to hope that you can get a 2nd cast of Actualizer and everyone takes their hands off the keyboard, then maybe you can kill everyone if you're Zeka. You have to hope and pray. They were able to keep all their inhibitors alive, right? I mean, that's all they could have hoped for, and that much remained true. The waves have been pushed in. They've just been hard farming. They're trying to get Guma an additional item. He has his Sereldas now. The Actualizer did finish, right? And Zeus is looking for a 4th item eventually here.
I mean, there's an Ocean Soul coming up in 2 minutes' time, though, Wolf. And a quad Ocean Drake, Ocean Soul Gwen. Does Kingen die?
No.
That's, yeah.
He also has Zonius, as previously mentioned. I don't think they can kill him ever. Maybe, like, if Hanwha Life Esports can make some sort of really crazy macro call or spring a trap, which they've tried multiple times so far in this game, just kind of hide on bush and see if Nongshim make a mistake. It just isn't happening. The shot calling is good here, though, for Hanwha Life. You can tell they obviously know that their backs are against the wall and they have to hope for some sort of desperate mistake, desperate punish of a mistake. But Nongshim are just playing too clean. They're playing around that vision we talked about from the draft. If you have an oppressive control with this comp, it becomes so much more difficult for your opponent to play the game, even with Edge of Night for Guma, as we've already seen.
And this is the thing as well, utilizing the Baron in order to get even better Baron vision for next Baron. It's a slow way to play it out, but it certainly is a pretty foolproof way to make sure that your opposition have to walk through darkness in order to stop a second one from going your way.
The fact that Zeus is able to get a little bit of movement here in sides is more than I think Hanwha could even have hoped and prayed for. So that's one small thing, right? You can see, otherwise, like you said, the vision couldn't be deeper. It's practically in their base. And they're just using the timer here for the Baron against Hanwha Life Esports, like saying, all right, well, I'm just going to get as much vision as I can. The second that spawns, I'm going to be on it. You're going to have to walk through all of this. We've got Weaver's Wall. Our AD carry is sitting on 5 items and has Flash and Cleanse. There is no in.
Yeah.
Good luck, Zeus.
This is very tough. As, yeah, like you say, Lord Dom's now completed here for Taeyun as well. It's the old full item build, but does now have another slot considering the quest. Scout, will he be able to get the shove? He does manage to find it there under the light, but he puts up the door. Not exactly the optimal target, but still, even with the door there, still takes half of his health bar. And you can see the darkness that you were talking about, Wolf. Hens really hates that minion as he gets the knock-up on to Zeka. Man, thrown around like a ragdoll, but does go golden in time. Chains of Corruption are there to try and make this one happen, but Kingen gets into the backline, and Scout down so incredibly low, but he just goes gold and keeps himself alive. It's only Zeus left standing, and Nongshim are about to do the unthinkable. A 2-0 over Hanwha Life Esports here to put Baron within 1 game from Elder Group here for the LCK Cup.
The unthinkable, the biggest upset of the tournament here in week 1. Nongshim dismantling HLE in game 2, and game 1 showcasing a completely different resilience.
Kingen was so incredibly pivotal in both of these games.
Look at this fight for Kanavi. He's like, all right, maybe I can set something up. They're letting me in.
Wait, maybe it's Sponge, actually.
Could be.
That's the thinking man's vote. I don't know. It's hard.
I kind of like how Kanavi played this last fight. Or is this going to be... This is the last fight, right?
Yep,
yes, Kanavi's trying to set this up right. The Weaver as well goes in. Look at this engage on the Scout. But Kingen's just like waiting. He's like, Zeus can't get anywhere near. Zeka goes golden. They're just so careful. They wait, they play slow, they don't overextend with Taeyun. And they just front to back this so brilliantly. I think it was the best thing that Hanwha Life Esports could have mustered here. It just still ultimately didn't work.
Yeah, the fact that Scout was able to get the last second Zhonya's as well to keep himself alive. Kingen topping the damage in this game. And honestly, Nongshim, they got a lead this time, and they did not let go of it. It was elementary the way they played it out. The way they used the Baron, I know a lot of people would be like, oh, boring use of it, right? Shutting out the enemy. But there was no way for HLE to get any vision. They had to make that desperate play through the mid lane, which was not optimal for them. And when you were just funneling them around to where they wanted to fight them.
When you have so much pick, when you have the Talia, the Jarvan, the Nautilus, like, if you run in this Rise, you die. King picks it up. Love to see it. And, I mean, the way that they said, you can't do anything with Guma because he can't see, so he can't poke. The Rise is slow range. We're just going to play through vision. It's something that I feel like we would have never...